4, 3, 2.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to reach out just for a few moments and share some of our most commonly asked questions to kind of let you know what we do. We go through that BOE account, that dedicated account, and we try to answer them all. So as of today, we've answered anything in there as of an hour ago or 2 hours ago. And then the only thing I've missed in terms of answering directly is I was working on the BOE account since about 1 o'clock. So that means if you did my Bennardo account since 1 or 2 o'clock, I probably was working on the BOE account. So if a question went there, it might have slipped through. For now, I'll get it done tonight when we're finished here. But otherwise, we've kind of responded to everything we could. And what I did was I summarized them here so I can share them in case someone else has those questions. There were also several dozen emails which weren't really questions. They're more, to be honest, political statements and philosophical statements, which I respect everyone's right to say and do. I'm just not going to read them and create divisiveness or opinionness, if there is such a word, on things that really they're not in our purview here as a school district. So it's not that I'm disrespecting your statement or your belief in any way, shape, or form. I'm respecting it. I believe that everyone has a right to their opinion, but there's nothing I can do with that either about state politics or national politics. So that's kind of that's got my little disclaimer on that. To go over some of the big questions the past 48 hours have just been a review of the models. And one of the things that there seems to be a little misunderstanding on, which I blame myself, because to me, if there's more than a misunderstanding by 1 or 2 people, it's the way I said it, not the way you heard it. So there was a little misunderstanding on how exactly the dual teacher elementary model works. And I want to share that right at the bat. Remember, we have 2 different models in 2 different places. So ultimately it ends up 4 models, right? We have an elementary hybrid model. You're in school every other day. We have a high school or secondary school hybrid model. Then we have an elementary remote model. And we have a secondary school remote model. So ultimately, there are 4 different scenarios you could be working on. The hybrid model is our main instructional model. It looks like about 75% of our population will be involved with the hybrid model. And yet, we have about 25% right now, it looks like. We're still making about 500-600 calls who want to avail themselves of the remote model, and we're going to do the best we can there also to give quality instruction. How does the hybrid work? At the elementary level, the hybrid's based on a dual teacher model. That doesn't mean that the teachers are disconnected at all. They're working as partners, and if you typically have 20 or 24 students in class, 12 of them will be learning with the teacher in class on Tuesday. Now let's take this, say you're learning the letter A. You're learning the sounds in kindergarten or first grade of the letter A, and the teacher does a lesson in class on Tuesday with group A on the letter A. When those students, and they'll learn other things that day too. I'll spend the whole day on that. When those students are home on Wednesday, so those group A students who learned the letter A, they're home on Wednesday, they're working with the second teacher. And the second teacher is doing activities with the letter A, with your child. So your child's learning to use the letter A in sentences, to identify items with the letter A, to write a paragraph, to rhyme with the letter A. All the second level learning, we call that. Bloom's taxonomy, 2nd and 3rd level learning. So the knowledge and the recall learning is done when they're together with the physical presence of the teacher. And the higher level learning, it doesn't mean that that's simply review, nor does it mean that that's simply busy work or activities. Quite the opposite, actually. As a teacher, if I had the opportunity to have 8 or 10 or 12 students in class, and then know that those 8 or 10 or 12 students the next day were using that information to perform some of the authentic tasks that we often don't have time for in the class, that'd be a home run. So it's an advantage. And other superintendents that I'm speaking with I'm talking about how the resources that we put into it really will allow a great deal of time on task, and that was the goal. So that's the hybrid model. For example, if I'm teaching high school, right? So now let's move to high school. So at the high school level, it's a little bit different. Middle school, high school level, it's a little bit different in that because of a 180-day high school schedule, there is often less time, or middle school schedule, there's often less time for application activities. Many of those activities are already done at home, if that makes sense. So if I'm teaching high school, the First Amendment, all right, and that's part of my high school teaching lesson. Oftentimes, I'm covering the amendments, and the students in a homework assignment or independent assignment are already independently using that material for application and evaluation and synthesis, if that makes sense. So those students are usually working at home on these activities. So the reason I say that is that they're going to be learning something new each day. So at the elementary school we just talked about, they're learning a new material, and then they're using that material to learn higher level skills the next day. At the secondary level, they're learning the First Amendment on Tuesday in class. They're using that as part of their assignments. And on Wednesday, when they're home, they're logging into their class and working on the Second Amendment, because we're advancing that each day. So 2 different models. The elementary model is, we're saying, dual teacher model. You'll learn the new material in class, and you'll use that material with the second teacher at home for higher level learning, the things that make students get mastery on assessments. At the secondary level, we're going to do both. You're going to log in from home, and you're going to get the new material at the same time you're doing activities. So that's the difference between the two situations. Remote, fully remote at the elementary school means that you're going to get your own dedicated teacher because you're fully remote, and that teacher is going to work with you on a set block of time. So you're not in the hybrid situation anymore. You're not in the dual teacher model. You're in a single teacher model, and that teacher is yours, however. And so first thing in the morning, let's say 8 a.m., you're going to work on, going to go to a homeroom type activity. Then you're going to have a 90-minute block of English language arts work, where some will be a Google Meet, some will be new material, some will be those higher level activities that we talked about a few moments ago. You can take a 5-minute break, you can have a math block for about an hour. Again, Google Meet, higher level activities. Then you can have a lunch period. All right? And then in the afternoon is when you're going to do your specials. All right? Physical education, art, music, academic intervention services, speech services, and some of those activities where you use your material for the next level thinking and learning, those are going to be taken care of in the afternoons as well. So that's the remote model at the elementary level. Final one, the remote model at the secondary level, it's really no different, except that you're not in school, so it's very different, but it's no different in terms of application than the hybrid model. You're logging in both days from home and getting the new material from home both days. So those are the 4 different models. Elementary hybrid, where it's a dual teacher approach. Elementary remote, where it's a single teacher approach with a set schedule all day. Secondary hybrid, where it's a single teacher approach, but you're logging in from home one day and in class getting the new material the other day. And secondary remote, where you're logging in both days from home, but you're logging right into the hybrid class where the other students work. So those are the 4 plans. The plans are designed to be fluid. In other words, we have to understand that we don't know what's coming. We'd like to believe we know what's coming, and we'd like to believe we're sure that what the future will bring. I'm completely unsure. I know that we've taken a tremendous amount of precautions to be safe, and I can say we're going to be safe, but in terms of instruction, in terms of how things might look a month from now, we don't know what's going to happen around the country with infection rates. So we've got to be ready to take care of your children, regardless of what the dynamic is. More infections around the country, less infections, whatever it is. We have to be ready to pivot and move. Look, I'm hoping in 5-6 weeks, we're talking to you about the ability to bring more students back, that the infection rates are low, social distancing is working, everyone's cooperating, and we can gradually start to increase. We know that's important to people. There's also a possibility that we're going in the opposite direction 6 weeks from now. And that's not a defeatist thought, that's just being practical. And if we go in the opposite direction, we have to quarantine more or be more remote. We wanted the ability, especially with the idea that we have to move quickly, right? Especially with that, we wanted the ability to know that students had places in their class and were ready to go. So that's the idea. We're fluid and we're ready to move whatever the case is. All right? We're not committed to any one format for the whole year. The only thing we're committed to is doing the best we can, keeping the kids and staff safe and doing the best we can to educate our students based on the dynamics we've been given. So that's the reality of where we are, and that's why we're talking about fluidity and being ready to maneuver and move on a dime. Masks. One of the questions that's come up a lot is people seem very, probably the most commonly asked question is people wanting to know what we're going to do to people who don't cooperate with the masks. What are the punishments? And I really don't want to get hung up. Look, I know what I have to do. I know what we have to do. I know that masks are required, and I know I can't allow anyone to endanger the other students or other staff members because they choose not to wear a mask. So we have to wear masks. I also know that there's chatter about getting notes and all these other things, and we've met with our school doctor, we've met with our attorneys, and we're prepared to move forward with the full belief that our community is going to do the right thing and want to bring more and more students back to school and cooperate with us. That's critical. I don't believe we're going to have mass numbers of people trying to beat the system. I don't believe we're going to have mass numbers of people trying to challenge the system, because ultimately all that's going to do is move us backwards and bring less and less students back. So I do believe that our people are going to do the right things. However, we are fully prepared to strongly encourage, and when encouragement doesn't work, to mandate masks. So that's where we are. Again, we're not looking for that, but our belief is that we could be in that situation with a handful of people. I don't think so, but I know that some of these people are really advertising this, and it's getting other people upset, and they're reaching out to me, and I don't want you all to get upset with each other. You know, it's my responsibility to handle that. So that's what we're doing. So masks are a must. We're going to wear them during instruction. We're going to wear them in the hallways. We're going to wear them on the buses. We will have mask breaks. The second most questions I got are what do mask breaks look like? Who's going to supervise them? What a mask break's going to look like? How are you going to be sure mask breaks are followed? And the answer is, this is new to all of us. So we're reaching out as a team to local pediatricians, to the Board of Health, and we're asking them, what are appropriate mask breaks for each grader? Now, we're in a pretty good situation in that we've got the sneeze guards, so we're allowed to, you're capable 6 feet plus a sneeze guard. We can take some breaks as long as people aren't talking and interacting, which is where you increase the risk, right? We can take some breaks and really make this manageable for people. So our staff, they're cooperating with that. They're trying to learn also. It's not going to be something that my child's school didn't give a mask break. That's not going to happen. We're going to work as a team and make sure that the mask breaks happen, that they're equitable, that they're manageable, and that people are cooperating with that. All right? And so, again, I have a lot of faith in our teachers in this place, because I know that they want to keep our students safe, and a lot of faith in our families and our students to make it happen. Of course, kids are kids. Will there always be corrections we have to make? Absolutely. And just like we make with any other issue, although this one's pretty high priority. So masks are going to be a must. Yes, we will make corrections, but I'm going to believe that people are going to understand how serious we are about doing the right thing here. So those are the mask rules. In terms of what masks, in the past 24 hours, I've gotten 20 articles on this mask, whatever that is, being good, and 20 articles that the same mask is no good. And way out of my knowledge base, and I'm using the doctors on this one, and I'm reaching out. I'm not trying to overstep my bounds on what I do know and don't know about masks. So we're going to get you some ideas, but we do know that surgical masks are perfect. Masks with valves do not seem to be perfect. Bandanas do not seem to be perfect. We're still getting some information on the gaiters. So you can't go wrong with a surgical mask. You can't go wrong with a mask like this, these 2-ply masks. And people are asking me, can you wear the face shield instead of a mask? No. You can certainly wear a face shield if you choose, but the mask is a must. So masks are a must. It's something that we're just going to have to manage and deal with if we truly want to bring more and more students back and really look out for our school community. Sneeze guards. I had the debacle where I forgot to take the film off the sneeze guards, and you all got a good laugh out of Mrs. Bennardo finding that little film on the front of the sneeze guard, but Jill's always been the smarter one in the couple. So the sneeze guards they're completely transparent, they're see-through, they're very portable, they weigh less than a couple of pounds, and they work incredibly well. They're going to be on the student's desk in elementary school, and they're going to be cleaned each night, and at the secondary level, they're going to be portable, so the student's going to bring them from class to class, but we've arranged now so at the end of the day they don't have to take them home and that they're cleaned in school. All right, that was, in other words, what we do is we reach out and we try to get better, even though we haven't started yet. I'm not too proud to call every district and see what people are doing, and if it can work, we'll do it. So we're going to actually clean the sneeze guards in school, and they'll be ready for the students the next day. And they're completely sterilized, and at that point, no different than using a dish. It's been cleaned, or a fork or a knife. So that's the sneeze guard plan. We expect them to be very, very effective. We also, this is brand new as of the past 24 hours, we've also purchased, we found a district that had purchased placemats for the desk. So if you picture a desk, it's about 2 feet wide. About 3/4 of that desk is covered with a little placemat, just like you get at a restaurant now. All right? It's another layer, and they get thrown out. So we just ordered 300,000 of those placemats. So a student comes into class, puts the new placemat down on their desk, or if their elbows and their hands go on the placemat, and they throw it out on the way out the door. What does a placemat do? It's another piece with the mask, with the sneeze guards, with the 6 feet social distancing, and now the placemat. So we're trying to take every precaution we can. A lot of questions on testing. And the other thing is, and also temperatures are screened every morning when a student walks in. So we're asking parents to do it before they get on the bus, but we're doing it ourselves before they enter school, students and staff. All right, and we've purchased these, they look like little iPad holders or iPad stands, and they quickly, just like you're in a passport photo or you're in a motor vehicles department photo, they quickly snap you, they don't store it or anything, and they quickly take your temperature so we know everyone comes through. So we're working on that to make sure that we move our students through. How are we going to do it? How are you going to do hundreds of people? We have to. So, I understand some of you have asked, how is it possible? It has to be possible because we have to do it. So, fortunately, right now to start, we only have half of our students in at a time, but we absolutely have to make this a reality, and we're working with our teams on the temperature taking. COVID testing. The media has created a false impression that we actually do COVID testing in the schools. And I think most of you can understand that COVID testing is still the responsibility of a family physician or Huntington Hospital or a doctor in one of the Medi centers. In other words, we can't usurp, we can't take away a family's relationship with their healthcare provider. And that is not the intention, nor do we ever want our team doing that. So if we suspect symptoms, if someone comes out with a fever, and in addition to the fever, the nurse sees respiratory issues, whatever it might be, we work with a family on where you're going for your test. Now, we know Huntington Hospital, we have contacts there, they've been great, they turn tests around really quickly. That doesn't mean that your family physician will turn the test around just as quickly. So we work with families on the testing. The testing's a must, but where it happens and how it happens, we work with families on getting it done as quickly as we can. And we follow up on that to make sure that we have a negative test if there were suspected symptoms before you return. Now, contact tracing is a little bit different. We've trained our own internal team to contact trace, and we're working with the Board of Health on contact tracing. So when a positive test comes our way, our responsibility is to find out exactly who was in contact with that individual, who was in class with them, who was on the bus with them, and then those individuals are quarantined for 14 days. And they're going to learn remotely for the 14 days as an extra layer of precaution again. So we are contact tracing and we are following up with the Board of Health. Now the Board of Health might call a family to say, in addition, you saw your grandmother this weekend, your grandfather, and they have to quarantine. That obviously is above my purview. But the school purview is ours, and we're going to make sure our contact tracing is tight and clean. Each night, the rooms are disinfected. There are a couple of solutions that they're using now. One is a bleach solution with a whole lot of water in it that kills viruses with no problem and is permitted in schools. The other is Virex, which is approved by the CDC for most things, and safe if used a certain way, which is exactly how we're going to use it. So the Virex and the bleach are the nightly cleaning. The rooms are scrubbed and cleaned. Then several times a week, and Dr. D'Elia tells me it could be as many as every night, we bought foggers in addition. So that means these foggers sit in a room and they kind of send out a mist that once it settles disinfects everything again. All right, so that's not our primary disinfecting tool. The old-fashioned human being is our primary disinfecting tool each night, but we want to have an extra layer with the foggers several times a week. Buses are done between routes, between AM and PM runs, and each evening. Bathrooms, high contact areas are done numerous times per day. So that's the cleaning and the plan. The only thing that is not done regularly, in terms of it's only done at the end of the day, is on the secondary level, there was no mathematical way to get to every desk in between periods, which is why we went with the masks all day, the sneeze guards all day, the 6 feet distance all day, and now the placemats. Because the bottom line, we're getting to them each night, but in terms of the desk itself, there was no way to get to the thousands of desks between periods. However, students are completely entitled to bring disinfectant wipes and use them if they choose. We'll have some extras for people who may have forgotten theirs or may want a wipe. We're working on that. Obviously, there's an international shortage of wipes right now, so we're working with different companies on who can get them to us quicker than other companies. But that's been going on for months, so we're working on that. Chromebook questions. We are committed to getting everyone a Chromebook. Now, in some cases that's already done. In other cases, from K to 6, we're working on increasing our Chromebook capacity. We've had an order in for months. We call them every day. We push them every day. The company is really working with us. Again, there's an international demand that's through the roof. So right now, in the meantime, we're trying to make sure everyone has something in their house. We're trying to make sure everyone has a Chromebook at their disposal or an item at their disposal, 2 if we can. Eventually, once these come in, and we're told towards the middle to end of September, or towards the end of September, but it could be earlier. We're pushing it. Everyone will then have a Chromebook at their disposal. In the meantime, we're pooling, we're breaking down laptop carts, we're breaking down labs, and we're doing the best we can to get every family something. And we're doing it person by person. We're actually chatting with families individually. I think it's important to know we have 6,000 families, but we're trying to make it as if we have one, yours. And so we are reaching out to families. Someone said to me the other day, how are you going to do that? Again, we have to. There aren't a whole lot of options here, right? I mean, you didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for this. We didn't create the coronavirus. You didn't create the coronavirus. So what we're trying to do now is be the best we can at serving and making sure that our students and staff are cared for. There is an important travel advisory. We will list, I think starting tomorrow, we'll put a list up of where the states that if you travel to these states, you must quarantine for 14 days. And that becomes real important, especially as people are taking students back to college. And again, we know that's important to families. However, that's a mandatory government-imposed quarantine of 14 days when you return. So we really do want to share that. We'll have that up. I mean, you can pull it up yourself. I'm sure most of you have that, but we'll provide a reminder as well. I answered the question on how days will work in terms of the hybrid at the elementary level. I got a question on if I was aware of some federal decision regarding teachers being, I just came in now, teachers being essential employees and when they do have to work and don't have to work. We haven't received any of that from the state, and I don't really know the full details. I don't want to ignore the question, but I don't want to answer a question that I don't know the details of. I do know that we're working in tandem with our staff. Our teachers are real dedicated to making the right thing happen by our students. And just as there are students that have issues which make them need to learn remotely, we have staff members who might have an issue that they're working remotely, but the good news is they're all committed to working. They're all committed to being part of the solution. So those pieces are fitting nicely into place, with safety being our primary concern. That is it in terms of the questions. I apologize for going so quickly, but I do know that that a lot of people are, I'm taking a lot of time tonight. Dr. Senmore, do we have any other additional questions?
No, you just covered it with that last one.
Okay. And Thomas, I know that you had this set up for me but it went to your. Thomas had set it up for me where I could see comments, but do you want to do whatever it is you do to make sure? To let you know, we are doing this regularly. I'll do as many of these a week as we have to make people feel comfortable. I'm really most comfortable getting back to you personally, but okay, I'm really most comfortable getting back to you personally, as is Dr. Senmore, Dr. Leah, Ms. Caprillo, our whole team. However, I do like to share some of the general things that come up. With that said, we're going to stay at it. Again, we're inventing a lot of this as we go along, but we're inventing it with two things in mind: safety and doing the best we can instructionally with the tools we've been given. So with that said, please continue to reach out. Thank you for your patience and have a great evening.